Uh-oh.
In her last two fights. Good way hitting him from that way down.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It's fight week for Rianna Rios, unbeaten up-and-comer Rianna Rios that we talked about in a previous video, a second look at her upcoming fight with Spain's own Mary Romero, former EBU champion and veteran who's been around the block and been in there with a lot of good fighters. Rianna Rios will be the next, and I already made my pick.
Scheduled for 8 rounds in a bantamweight division.
I'm going with Rianna Rios. Rianna to win a points decision. I think she has the right blend and the right ingredients for an aggressive fighter, a combination puncher, a scrapper like Mary Romero.
I think she can simmer Mary down, back her off.
Back her up, pile up the points, and win enough rounds to win a points decision, sporting a professional record of 7 wins with no losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout.
29 years old.
Having not seen action since May of last year, it's been a little over a year's time since Rianna saw action, so there is that to consider, that she is going to have some ring rust to shake off, but I still think she can get the job done.
She will.
Born in Alice, Texas, but currently residing in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
A shithole.
Yeah, Maryland sucks, especially Upper Marlboro.
It's terrible out there.
Fighting out of the southpaw stance, Rianna Rios caught my eye. She's a talented fighter, on her way and coming very close, ever closer to fighting for the full WBA title. The full WBA title at 118 pounds that Shernika Johnson is currently in possession of.
That's what brings us here.
So Rianna Rios is currently ranked at number 3. Former champion Jamie Mitchell, she's ranked at number 2, and Brittany Sims is ranked at number 1. It was recently stated that Shernika Johnson will be making a defense of her WBA title against Jamie Mitchell. Then after that, she has to fight Nina Hughes, per the WBA's order.
The WBA went back and rescored the Johnson versus Hughes fight, and they decided that Nina Hughes deserves a rematch.
If nothing else, another crack at the apple, that the winner of Johnson versus Mitchell has to fight Nina Hughes after that. So that means that even though Rianna Rios is currently ranked at number 3,
She's still a ways out from fighting for the title.
she is at minimum, at least 2 to 3 fights out from fighting for the full WBA title. That if Shernika Johnson manages to take care of business with Jamie Mitchell, then take care of business again with Nina Hughes,
Rianna won't get the shot until sometime next year.
it's the look of it. Beyond this weekend's fight, set to go down on the undercard of Lamont Roach's next fight on Pro Box, that leaves her enough time to squeeze in 1, maybe 2 more fights before this year is out.
It's actually a good thing.
Because Rianna Rios, as good as she is, she only has 7 professional fights. She needs more experience. That is, she's going to need more experience if she is to take on the likes of Shernika Johnson.
This allows her the time to do that.
It's quite fortuitous that she ended up on the undercard of Lamont Roach's next fight, set to go down on Pro Box. You know, Pro Box, they do their own fights on there. Very good fights.
If she has a good showing, maybe they bring her back.
To fight the likes of Brittany Sims, who's currently ranked at number 1, or maybe Mayeli Flores of Mexico, who's currently ranked at number 6. You figure that Rianna Rios is going to end up fighting one or some of these other fighters that are currently ranked by the WBA.
Before she gets to fight for the full title.
In a WBA eliminator or eliminators,
Plural.
for now, she's got to deal with Spain's own former EBU champion Mary Romero, who can be a handful in a situation like this one. I remember that she gave then unbeaten Amy Timlin her first professional loss. She came very close to giving Serene Satine her first professional loss.
We'll see how she fares with Rianna Rios and how Rianna fares with her.
Rios on points this weekend seems likely, and we'll see if that prediction sticks. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, boxing insider Rick Glacier released a lengthy tweet as to what the PBC's current situation is. He said, "Some question the fact that I have said PBC is going out of business, but they are still in business. Every year since PBC started in March of 2015 with $550 million from Waddle and Reed, with their first show, their motto and slogan was free boxing for everyone, and it was even printed on t-shirts. They were doing approximately 36 shows a year, and every year that number has dwindled down drastically. Now, PBC is no free boxing and basically pay-per-view only, and volume of events, they have done just about 3 shows, only pay-per-view this year so far in the first 6 months of the year, with nothing announced officially going forward. Is the PBC still in business? Yes, just barely, as they limp towards their obliviation. And the biggest question has been, since right before Christmas, where is PBC cult leader Al Haymon, as he's completely disappeared, including his fighters and close associates not being able to contact him. And now Al Haymon advised fighters are starting to question their finances. Were administered to by their Uncle Al. The final chapter hasn't been written yet, but it definitely won't be good for Al Haymon nor his PBC. Please repost this for the benefit of those cult followers of the PBC.
So I remember late last year when news first broke that the PBC would be moving over to Amazon Prime. I was skeptical about what the deal structure would be and how this would all pan out moving forward, while several others were a lot more optimistic that Amazon is actually a much bigger platform than Showtime is, so the PBC moving there is an upgrade.
Oh, really?
That the marketing arm of Amazon Prime at this point can reach that many more homes than Showtime would, so this may be for the best.
Told you it wasn't.
And remember that at that time, the news was that they would do 12 to 14 shows this year. We're 6 months into the year, and they've only done 3.
4 if they're lucky.
They're talking about doing a show in August that will feature Caleb Plant, that will feature Stephen Fulton. I don't know if that's going to be a pay-per-view, though it might be. We'll see. Though if they do that show, that will be only the 4th show they will have done 8 months into the year.
It's a pretty far cry from 12 to 14.
An even farther cry from the 36 shows they used to do annually. That's right. At one point, the PBC was doing about 36 shows in a single calendar year.
And throughout all of this, the rumor is that Al Haymon is missing in action, and he has been since late last year.
Rick Glacier continued, "These Al Haymon advised fighters are now starting to hire professionals to figure out where their money actually is. And when these exploratory investigations are concluded, these fighters will find out they were really lambs that were led to financial slaughter. Stay tuned."
What's that about?
For a long time, there was a rumor that PBC fighters don't get their money up front, they don't get their purses in full, that Al Haymon pays them in increments.
Like a stipend.
Or an allowance, which would suggest that the bulk of the cash, the sum of it, for all of these fighters is held somewhere by Al Haymon in an account of some kind. And now those fighters are looking for that money, the rest of it.
Why would they agree to this?
Well, you have to remember that when Al Haymon funneled all of those fighters from Golden Boy Promotions over to what became his PBC, his name and the name of Floyd Mayweather meant a lot more than it means here today. So it would be easy to convince a fighter that's trying to make it, "Hey, come with me. I can do for you what I did for Floyd. All you have to do is adhere to my instructions."
Do as I say.
And a lot of fighters did. That it may have been easier to convince a fighter to play ball way back then than it is here today for Al Haymon and his sinking ship that is the PBC. So now
He's missing in action.
that's the rumor, and the fighters are looking for the rest of their money. Where is it, and what could have happened? The danger with giving anyone access to your money.
They can misappropriate it, make bad investments with it.
Lose it while you're none the wiser. Spend it on cocaine and hookers.
Ugly furniture.
Memorabilia, what have you. There's no good reason for these fighters
fighters to not have been paid their purses in full. This is not the industry standard. This is something unique unto the PBC.
The rumor is that Al Haymon was paying these guys in increments, like an allowance.
None of us know what these fighters agreed to on paper, and that's a pretty important detail.
What their entitlements are?
The actual arrangement is there is so much of this that is left to the imagination, as well as what fighters are we talking about? To who are we referring to?
Could get ugly.
It's a rumor. It should be treated as such, and I'm just relaying that message, so don't shoot the messenger. But what I take away from this the most is how the PBC is operating at a much reduced capacity than they used to, and I don't know how much longer they can carry on under these circumstances short of a Hail Mary bailout. Somebody with a lot of money to blow who's willing to spend it to salvage what they have left.
My question is there actually anything there worth saving?
Hi everybody people, Anthony and Daniel, listen. I know IBF title important to you. Tell it my present to you on September 21. Guys, слава Богу за все, слава Україні.
Alexander Usyk uploaded that video to his social media earlier today, inadvertently letting the proverbial cat out of the proverbial bag. Not that it was much of a secret that Anthony Joshua looks to be fighting Daniel Dubois in September, and that now the IBF title will be on the line. Initially, we heard that Usyk's team petitioned the IBF to allow him to keep the IBF title a while longer, long enough to defend it against Tyson Fury in what is going to be their rematch.
But now it seems that he's gifted it to those two. Why?
My honest opinion? He's being paid to. He's being paid to do it. No, I don't think he dropped the IBF title for no reason, just out of the kindness of his own heart. I think Usyk was provided a financial incentive to let the title go so that they can fight for it, so that the fight can be for a world title, to crown a world champion.
He was paid.
It was originally thought that 2 weeks after the undisputed title fight, whoever wins, they're going to be stripped of the IBF title. But 2 weeks came and went, and nobody got stripped.
I think it would have been wrong to strip Usyk to give the title to two guys who he already beat. He already beat Anthony. He already beat Daniel.
How is this different?
Because it seems that he's giving it up willingly, that he wasn't stripped of it by the IBF. He's vacating it.
The only reason that I can think of that he would all of a sudden have a change of heart after his team petitioned the IBF to keep it, he's giving it up. It could be because they offered him some cash. Good amount of money to let the title go.
Nothing wrong with that.
Eddie Hearn previously mapped out a potential plan for the heavyweight division, which now looks more likely after Usyk announced he's vacating his IBF title. Joshua versus Dubois, then Usyk versus Fury 2, and the winners would meet in April of next year.
Guess that depends who the winners are.
I've already said more than once that I think Usyk is going to beat Fury again later on this year, but as it pertains to Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois,
The only Fury that I can stomach.
that I can tolerate. Peter Fury was recently asked about that fight, and this is what he had to say.
Very interesting one. They can both punch, for sure. You'd have to go with Joshua because he's got that experience and he's got that sharpness and the speed. And he's mixed at that level as well, at a very high level. And but he's also, Dubois improved in his last fights, very much so. So it's still a dangerous fight for Joshua. You know, but you'd have to favour Joshua in it just for the sheer experience. But you know, Dubois is a big puncher and the little gloves, and anything can happen.
So it sounds like Peter is leaning towards Anthony Joshua, the more experienced fighter of the two, the two-time heavyweight champion who's been there and done that with a lot of the somebodies at this weight. Yeah, he's got power like Daniel's got power, but a better pedigree and more technical ability. Though he's still leaving the door open for surprises, it sounds like Peter is leaning towards Anthony Joshua. Anthony's longtime friend, Tony Bellew, his proclamations are a lot more bold.
More bias.
Make of it what you will. Tony Bellew said, AJ's technically better than him, more fluid than him, quicker than him, hits harder than him. Everything Dubois is good at, AJ is better at.
Told you he was bold.
AJ is a bit better at, and he also has defense. AJ's a freak. AJ's the best athlete the heavyweight division's probably ever had as an athletic specimen. I think AJ versus Dubois is over inside 2 rounds.
I told you he was bold.
I think he won't miss him. I don't see any other outcome. Is that the way it is? Does Anthony Joshua kill him quick?
Anthony's a couple of years older than Daniel Dubois. They've both had their ups and downs in their careers, but Daniel is the younger man.
But I agree with Tony. I don't think Daniel is faster. That is, I don't think he's quicker to the draw than Anthony Joshua. He's explosive. He is explosive in his own way, but I don't actually think he's faster than Anthony. Faster hands or faster on his feet. I don't actually think Daniel is as athletic as Anthony Joshua. Anthony is more fluid.
More range of motion, better range of motion.
Where Daniel is more stiff and more tense, more robotic. To me, more predictable.
Defensively, I don't think he's as good.
And that's a big one, especially in the heavyweight division, where you are always one punch away from being put down and being put out. The number of right hands that he ate from Filip Hrgovic. I mean, he showed a good chin. He did show good durability in that fight, but he got hit a lot, and he got hit with the same punch over and over.
It's not good.
If Filip can land that many right hands on you, I think Anthony can land that many right hands on you. Except his right hands have a lot more snap and a lot more raw power that you won't take a right hand from Anthony as easily as you took one or some from Filip.
What do you see?
They both have strong corners, Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. Daniel's got veteran trainer Don Charles. He used to train Derek Chisora, which would explain the newfound grit, determination, and toughness that we're seeing in Daniel.
And Anthony?
Anthony's got Ben Davison and his boxing brain in his corner. I think Ben Davison really rounds out Anthony Joshua as a fighter and helps him to better do what he wants to do, to blend his physicality and his power with his boxing.
Because Anthony's not just a bruiser. Yeah, I know he's got a lot of knockouts and a lot of power, but he's got a boxing brain.
I feel like Ben Davison, more so than Derek James or Angel Fernandez before him, I feel like Ben Davison helps him use it the way that he wants to use it.
What do you see?
Don Charles's philosophy for this fight. What I expect to see from Daniel is I think Daniel's going to try to jump on him right away. They're going to tell themselves, Anthony's chinny, he doesn't take a good shot, so let's get right in there and get to him.
Get at him.
Where Anthony's going to show a lot more respect and a lot more boxing, moving around, using the jab, setting Daniel Dubois up, who I think is going to be the aggressor from the start.
What do you see?
Anthony's going to walk him into a right hand, a big right hand, because Daniel's going to try to rush him. The first rounds may be rough. They might be, because Daniel's going to come right at him, the same way that Derek Chisora does in fights.
Same philosophy.
Too much of that is what's going to get him caught. Too much of that is why I see Anthony walking him into a big right hand that puts him down and puts him out for what now is the IBF title.
A chance to become a 3-time heavyweight champion. It's a very short list of fighters.
This is not a foregone conclusion. It's just what I see. Daniel Dubois should not be underestimated on a stage like this.
Don't look past him.
Because I'm not the one telling you he stands no chance at all. And I'm not the one telling you that Anthony finishes him in 2 rounds. I could see it ending around 6.
In the mid-rounds.
At or around 6 rounds. After Anthony does some jab work, touches him up with the right.
I can see Anthony finishing him around the midway point of the fight. All I gotta do is announce it now.